welcome to the Welsh Wire. We are so glad that you joined us today to talk about some cool things that are happening in downtown Kalamazoo with our special guests and friends from Treystar. We have Fritz Brown, who's a partner with Treystar, and Rachel Krasinski, who's a director of operations for the hospitality division of Treystar. Fritz and Rachel, welcome to the Welsh Wire.
Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Great to be here on this rainy, what is it, Tuesday,
but it doesn't matter because there's some really cool stuff that's going on with Treystar, and we want to hear more about it. But first, for our listeners who are not familiar with your company, your organization, who you are, what you do, Fritz, can you tell us a bit about Treystar?
Sure. So Treystar was started in 1969 by my father, Robert Brown Sr. And we're a relationship-based, diversified commercial real estate development company. And so we have shopping centers, office buildings, storage facilities, and a myriad of hospitality venues, all in Kalamazoo County. And so we've been a Kalamazoo family. We're family owned and family operated, and so we've been here in Kalamazoo for over 50 years.
Nice. And one of the things we're talking about today is a new event center that you are opening in downtown Kalamazoo's Haymarket district, and it's called the Desenberg.
That's right.
You're pretty excited about it. So tell us your why. Like, why is it that you're doing this? And we'll go into a little bit more later about your vision for downtown Kalamazoo, because that's pretty cool, and our listeners need to hear that also. But tell us your why for the Desenberg.
So really the why, and Rachel is sort of our expert on that. But looking around, Kalamazoo right now, with the closing of our neighbor across the street, there was really a need for a new event space in Kalamazoo.
Agreed.
Greenleaf does some hospitality and things, but there's not a lot outside of the Radisson, and we really saw an opportunity with, and I'll go into later on how we think about ground floor space here in Kalamazoo as a result of COVID.
Yep. And I would agree with you. I think there is good. I mean, we've got some providers of space in downtown Kalamazoo, but I think there is opportunity for much more. And the Desenberg is going to be kind of a cool location. So talk about that. You've got a vision for downtown Kalamazoo. You see Treystar being an important part in that vision. So talk about that a little bit, Fritz, and how you see it.
So, yeah, I mean, we've always been a player in downtown Kalamazoo. Since the mid 80s, when we bought our first building, Main Street East, which is on the 200 block of Michigan Avenue. We really, over the last, and especially over the last decade, have focused our development in Kalamazoo, and so with COVID, we've really seen some changes in the way sort of space is looked at. So with many people moving into downtown Kalamazoo, and folks rightly so changing their tenant mix with less office space and more residential, and trying to really capture those folks that are going into the residential buildings. They need more destination-based venues, and so we've really been looking at taking a hard look at all of our ground floor space and converting it from the traditional office use to more restaurant and destination venues and retail.
Yep. So that is a trend that you picked up on immediately coming out of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And the time has just kind of been right to say, okay, we're gonna repurpose this ground floor space, right? And P.S., there's an incredible opportunity right now with maybe a shortage, not enough good event space available in downtown Kalamazoo. Talk about your desire to create those cool venues, those cool locations, and how that fits into, you know, your greater plan and your family's plan really in the business. And some of your philanthropy work as well.
Absolutely. So we have been working hand in hand with the Monroe Brown Foundation, which was started by my grandfather in the mid '80s. That, you know, the foundation really focuses on three things. One is sort of the cradle to career education, and so that'd be anything from Casey Ready Fours through you know, endeavors with Western Michigan University, of which we've been doing a lot with lately. The second thing would be focusing on entrepreneurial initiatives in the state of Michigan, but more specifically in Kalamazoo. And then it's really focusing on how do we keep the kids that, and I'll call them kids, how do we keep the young adults that we educate here in Kalamazoo? How do we keep them in our community and gainfully employed? And what will drive these people to stay in Kalamazoo instead of going to Chicago or Detroit or New York or California? And that's really what we're working on now is trying to, first of all, build a downtown and create spaces. And that could be residential spaces, but in this case, it's more retail and entertainment spaces. How do we create these spaces where I'll say young people, but really 25 to 40, where they can feel a part of it, where they can feel like they're part of something bigger, and where they want to socialize and where they want to grow their career, and
Right.
feel like they're being plugged into a path that is that can create leadership opportunities for
Right.
themselves. So really looking at our space deliberately and trying to think of uses I'll say non office use, where we can sort of create spaces that really attract that kind of a client.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Isn't it nice the way this just all comes together for you, right? With your philanthropic arm, with the changes that are needing to be made right now, changes you see need to be made post-pandemic, opportunities locally, and to bring that all together to create great space for young people to want
Exactly.
to live, work, and play in the downtown Kalamazoo area. Yeah.
Precisely right. So stay tuned on, we're going to have a lot more to say on what I'll call this young professional network initiative that we've been working hard and talking to a lot of people in Kalamazoo and doing a lot of interviews and trying to figure out exactly what that really means and
Yeah.
how our foundation can help sort of quarterback that initiative.
That's awesome. Yeah. It sounds like that could be another podcast down the road, a whole additional conversation, but
It
we'll park that.
totally, totally.
We'll park that for another time because we want to chat with Rachel a little bit too. So obviously we've established that the Duesenberg is going to be a critical component in the grand plan, right, for the future of Treystar and what Treystar wants to accomplish. So Rachel, can you share a little bit of history on the Duesenberg building? I mean, most people are like, what is that? Why did you call it that? I mean, it is a really cool space. And I understand it's almost 140 years old.
Yeah, it was built in 1886 by a Chicago architect, which is Louis Sullivan. It's the last known standing Louis Sullivan building in Michigan, so it's very cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has a pretty varied history. So originally it was created for wholesale grocery distribution, which was the Duesenberg Grocery Company, which is why we kept the name for that little nod to history there.
I love that.
Yeah, so that was in the early 1900s. Then it was repurposed to Hooker Glass and Paint, which was like a home improvement store, and they sold paint and wallpaper and decor and things like that. Then in 1985, it was repurposed again to become a sporting goods store. And then finally, before the Duesenberg Event Center came in, it was home to Huntington Bank, and they were there for 32 years, so for quite a while. So had a lot of different uses over time.
It surely did. So for folks trying to get a perspective on like, where does this building sit? And I'm not exactly sure where it is. I think that's a great landmark to say 32 years, the Huntington Bank location right on East Michigan Avenue. This is the spot that we're talking about now.
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
the Duesenberg is coming to life. As we speak, it's coming to life.
Mm-hmm.
So Rachel, tell us what makes the Duesenberg Event Center so special. Tell us about some of the amenities that set it apart from other places.
Yeah, well, like we just talked about, I think the history is a big piece of that. It's such a beautiful space. It has windows that practically go from the floor to the ceiling on both sides. So there's tons of natural light that comes in. It's accessible from the street, from East Michigan there. So it's nice you don't have to walk through something else to get to the event center. And then obviously it's located right in the heart of downtown Kalamazoo, which is, again, another huge selling point. Aside from that, we have multiple spaces that can be rented. So it's not just the Duesenberg main space, but also Main Street East Atrium, which is a really beautiful space. It is a great addition for kind of a breakout for meeting spaces or for cocktail or receptions. And then there's the Haymarket Plaza as well, which has a 3D projection. I don't know if anyone's seen that, but it's amazing. So you should come out when that's on. And then that's all connected to sound systems and etc. So it's a really great add-on for the event space.
That is great. And if I could just interject in there, that 3D projection is super cool. Do you have that in operation shown on your website anywhere? Is there any place that folks will be able to see what that looks like when they're looking at amenities or whatever? But
it's not on the Duesenberg website currently, but we can add it on there. I don't know if
so
it sure is cool.
It is.
Sheri, it is cool. We've done a few things with that projection system. We've turned it sideways before, where it was on the side of the Haymarket it showed on the side of the Haymarket building in a up and down sort of vertical position. We've turned it sideways, and so we're going to have a lot more opportunities for more of a movie sort of projector screen instead of I'll call it a reverse of that, which is on its side.
Yeah, it is a really cool thing. And that space back there also, right? That Haymarket Plaza is really awesome. So if you do an event at the Duesenberg, you have all of these little things that you can connect together in terms of spaces and different amenities and what that you can offer. Right?
Yeah.
So ideally, who is this space designed for? Like, if I'm listening and I'm a business leader, I'm thinking, yeah, we got some meetings. Yeah, we need to do some strategic planning. Yeah, we got an event and people coming in. We're going to do something. We need some space. How would I know if this were the right space for me? Like, who's the ideal customer to use this kind of space? Who would it be ideal for?
Yeah, so this is a great space for meetings. I'm thinking specifically either companies that are local to the downtown area and they just want to get out of their office for that, quarterly or annual strategy meeting to get kind of fresh perspective. We didn't talk about technology-wise. It also has some pretty amazing technology in it. We have a very large smart glass wall that's being installed. The best way that I can describe how big it is and get people to visualize it, most people know who Shaquille O'Neal is, right? Shaq. He's like 7 feet tall. It's 1.5 Shaqs tall and 3 Shaqs wide. So to give you perspective, because if I just like the measurements, it won't click in, but it's very large.
That's great.
And that can be used for everything from like a whiteboard to, media presentations to really cool visual designs. And then it can be used for all 3 at the same time because you can kind of use it in different chunks. So it's a great place for even client presentations when you really want to wow someone. Or for conferences that are coming to the hotels and want to have kind of a breakout location for meetings and things like that.
That's terrific. That is terrific. And then I would guess too that the typical holiday party or a wedding or
yeah,
absolutely. You can accommodate. What's the maximum that you can accommodate in the space? Do you know?
So, yeah, we say 250 is the max for cocktail style. granted, we can go up and down depending on which spaces are being rented and if it's indoor outdoor versus just using the indoor space, and then about 180 for seated.
Nice, nice. And I also understand that you are planning a grand opening event soon. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we're actually gonna have two events, two grand opening events. One is gonna be tailored towards corporate, and then the other one is gonna be tailored towards that kind of wedding social. So for the corporate, it's going to be a free lunch provided by Crafted Copper. We'll do a tour of the space and then talk about some of the amenities and how it works great for meeting, kind of demonstrating how to use the technology. And then for the wedding side of things, then it will be Millennium Restaurant Group is going to be providing food and beverage for that. Renolex is providing furniture both indoor and outdoor for both days of the event.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we have a DJ coming in from Lux Entertainment for the wedding one as well. So it's going to be a big party.
Sounds
Be a lot
fun.
of fun. Yep, it's going to be a ticketed event. Tickets are free. It's just basically to RSVP, guarantee a spot, and then get you food and beverage. So if your listeners do want to attend one of those events, they should follow us on our website or on any of our socials. We'll be announcing that within about the next 30 days as far as the date. So we're not announcing it yet, but keep an eye out.
That's okay. I was going to ask you, I didn't hear the date. Okay, but we will watch for it. And, you know, when we air the podcast, we will, and our posting too, try to add that date in there too, because it might be already established by that point. So that's great. So this is really exciting. It's exciting to hear Treystar's vision for downtown, right? And how you see things evolving and how you see your role in that, which is really cool. And this new event center is just the beginning, it sounds like, Fritz, right?
Exactly. And I'd be remiss to not say that, or to bring up the fact that we do have a Barrio Tacos Tequila and Whiskey, which was a part of our strategy in it's at 215 East Michigan on the same block. And so that kind of goes along with, you know, our vision of, you know, repurposing these ground floor spaces, repurposing former, you know, traditional office spaces, and creating something new to really kind of complement what's happening in Kalamazoo with the event center that's now on the horizon, and with a lot of these folks moving downtown and that need places to now eat, drink, and you know, so it kind of goes along with your, you know, work, live, play type of situation. So yeah, very exciting, very exciting.
Right. Well, we surely appreciate the great work you're doing to make downtown Kalamazoo even better. And it's really exciting. I'm sure that our listeners will want to keep in touch with the developments as they continue, right? Hear about the grand opening, hear about what's going on. So if our listeners want to get more information on the Desenberg, where should they go, Rachel?
Yeah, so our website is desenbergevents.com. So it's DESENBERG events.com. That's a great place. You can also shoot us an email if you have questions, info@desenbergevents.com. And then for socials, Facebook and LinkedIn, our page is the Desenberg. And then for Instagram, it's at Desenberg_event. So any one of those, great way to get in touch with us.
Wonderful, wonderful, perfect. Well, Fritz, partner at Treystar, Rachel, Director of Operations for the Hospitality Division at Treystar. Thank you both for being our guests today on the Welsh Wire. It's been a delight.
Thank you so much, Sheri, and great work, and as always, and love talking to you always.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.